Today's Steelers Talk video is sponsored by RexMD. Go to rexmd.com/chat for up to 90% off generic Viagra and Cialis today. And welcome into Steelers Talk. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Kenny Pickett. All right, 2 tough games to start the season. Is he officially a bad NFL quarterback? I'm going to give you my take here in just a second. Then also, I'm going to tell you how Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator, can fix this Steelers offense after 2 tough games here to start this year. And then also, Pittsburgh Steelers injury updates, a big one for Minkah Fitzpatrick's chest injury today. Make sure you stick around to the end to see what's up with Minkah. Now, first, I want to thank every single one of you that tuned in to this week's watch party. Monday Night Football was a fantastic success. Over 70,000 people tuned into our watch party this week, which is absolutely fantastic. And then we added 577 new members to the Steelers Talk family. We're now over 31,000 subscribers strong and growing here at Steelers Talk. We're doing a great job. We are currently the fastest growing Steelers channel on the YouTube platform, so thank you guys so much for making that happen. And if you want to join us live this week, tomorrow, we're going to be doing the Steelers Talk live show. Coop and I are going to be talking about the latest Steelers news and rumors. We're going to preview this Sunday's game versus the Las Vegas Raiders starting at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And speaking of that game against the Raiders, we're going to be going live for that primetime game here for our primetime watch party Sunday starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time is when we're going to start our pregame coverage. Now let's get into QB1 Kenny Pickett. And listen, Kenny's been coming under quite a bit of flack here after 2 pretty bad performances in the first 2 weeks of the season. And let's just call it what it is, man. It has not been good for Kenny Pickett here through the first 2 weeks of the season. Now, granted, the 49ers and the Browns defenses, respectively, they're good units. They've got a lot of talent. They get after quarterbacks. They've got good secondaries. All that is granted. But these numbers for Kenny Pickett through 2 games is simply not good enough. 60.5 completion percentage, definitely not good enough for somebody that's throwing at like less than 5 yards of air yards per attempt. That's just absolutely atrocious for somebody that's throwing the ball shorter, much shorter than the NFL average. Only 60.5, that's abysmal for Kenny Pickett. That's showing the accuracy issues that he's dealing with right now. The yards per attempt right now, 6 yards per attempt, not great. That's well below the league average as well. And right now, just 2 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. And really, it should be 5 interceptions. Pickett's been extremely fortunate that 2 of his turnover-worthy plays this year have been dropped, one in the 49ers game and then one last night versus the Browns. So it should be a 2 to 5 touchdown to interception ratio to kick off this season. And listen, what makes me worried here is that 2 games is kind of a pattern here. If you have 2 bad games in a row, especially to kick off the season, people are going to look at you like, man, where's this second-year leap that we have been waiting for all offseason, that we've been hearing about? All we've heard about all offseason is the positives with Kenny Pickett, right? He gained the weight. He's doing everything he needs to do, watching every single throw that he took in his rookie season, learning from that, the apparently new footwork and throwing mechanics. It just hasn't reared its head yet, right? We just haven't seen that second-year leap right now. And honestly, man, we're at this point, after seeing those first 2 games, seeing the accuracy issues, seeing some of the mental processing issues as well. And listen, it's not all on Pickett, right? The offensive line isn't holding up their share. Of course, Matt Canada's offense isn't doing him any favors. But, you know, there's plenty of examples on film so far through these first 2 weeks where Pickett has a clean pocket, he's got an open receiver, and he just misses a wide receiver. Lots of wide misses so far this year. And, you know, when you think of Kenny Pickett, you think of somebody that's a pretty darn accurate thrower. That's what he did really well last year in the final 7 games of the season for Pickett. Really good at protecting the football. He was really accurate, all these things. But theoretically, I think Pickett can turn it around, right? I think that because these defenses that he faced the first 2 weeks are, in fact, good defenses, I think it buys him some time here. And, you know, I'm very excited to see what's going to happen here with Pickett heading into week 3 and 4. Again, the Las Vegas Raiders defense and the Houston Texans defense, not quite as good as the 49ers and Browns. So Kenny, you know, the clock is ticking on him. First 2 weeks weren't so good, but I'm starting to feel like we're not going to see that second-year leap that we were hoping to see this year. All right, let's have a word from our sponsor here at RexMD. And fellas, do you wish you could have a more fulfilling sex life? Well, you're not alone there. That's why we're excited to tell you about RexMD, the online source for men's wellness today. RexMD offers an easy and discreet way to get the medication you need for ED without having to visit a doctor's office. With just a few clicks, you can have your medication delivered straight to your door and at a fraction of the cost of traditional pharmacies. RexMD's team of licensed physicians will work with you to find the right treatment plan, and their medication is made in the United States so you can trust its quality. Plus, their customer support team is available 24/7 to answer any questions or concerns you may have. So if you're ready to take control of your sex life and say goodbye to ED, head on over to RexMD.com/chat and start your consultation today. Take advantage of their best deal they've ever offered and save up to 90% off and only pay $2 per dosage with our exclusive link. Go to RexMD.com/chat for this limited time deal. Starter packs of generic Viagra or Cialis are now available for our listeners to get started. That's RexMD.com/chat for up to 90% off. Again, one more time, that's RexMD.com/chat for up to 90% off generic Viagra and Cialis today. All right, now let's talk a little bit more about Pickett here. And listen, all I ask from Kenny at this point, I'm not expecting him to be a Patrick Mahomes, an Aaron Rodgers, a Josh Allen, and carry this offense. That's not what I'm asking him to do. I'm just asking him to protect the football at this point, because at this point, I think what he is that, kind of his ceiling almost, potentially, is a game manager. He did a really good job of that last year. I think that's absolutely what he could do for this team this year, not turn the ball over, throw touchdowns in the red zone, be efficient, make those big plays in the fourth quarter. Give us what you gave us last year. Seriously, the last 7 games of last season were much, much better than what we've seen the first 2 games of this season for Kenny Pickett. It's been a step backwards to this point. And if it wasn't for the defense scoring 2 touchdowns last night and George Pickens taking a 71-yarder slant to the house, we're looking at Kenny Pickett here as an 0-2 quarterback. And, the numbers are definitely not as good as they currently look with that big 71-yard touchdown from George Pickens yesterday. So now you be the judge for me down in the comments section. How do you grade Kenny Pickett's performance so far here in 2023? I've let you know what I think. Now it's your turn. Get in the comments section. Give me an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F. And this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So when YouTube throws you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. So now I'm going to be going over 5 things I think Matt Canada can do and the Steelers offense can do to try to fix some of these offensive woes. Because listen, the first 2 weeks, abysmal, right? Not moving the football effectively, getting off the field. The time of possession for the Steelers so far in these first 2 games is absolutely atrocious. It needs to get better. Here are the 5 ways that I think it can get done. Number 1, you got to get 14 the football. George Pickens. He is your superstar level wide receiver on this offense. He's absolutely fantastic, and we've seen that in the numbers to this point. Now, 9 catches to 17 targets. That's a testament to the decision-making and the accuracy from Kenny Pickett, all right? If you're only completing just about half of your throws to George Pickens with the kind of catch radius that this guy has, there's a problem with the accuracy, and there's probably a little bit of a problem when it comes to the mental processing as well. I'd like to see the targets get up to about 10 per game. Right now it's at about 8.5. Because you look at that yards per reception, 18.1 is absolutely incredible. He just has the 1 touchdown right now, and I definitely think you need to be targeting this guy as much as you can, especially with Deontay Johnson out for the next 3 weeks at least with a hamstring issue. So now coming up here, I got more ways for this offense to get better. Can't wait to share that with you guys here. Now let's keep it going here with the run game. I think that you got to prioritize Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, and this has to be the engine of the offense. The catalyst for winning, I think, and the kind of the formula for winning for the Steelers this year is going to be the defense has to dominate, and you got to dominate the time of possession and shorten the game. Because I don't think you're going to be winning shootouts this year with Kenny Pickett, unfortunately. I think you're going to have to really rely on your defense. You're going to have to rely on the run game, just like you did in 2022, and you guys almost made the playoffs with that kind of record. You went 6-1 your final 7 games. You went 6-2 your final 8 games. Or 6-3. Oh no, 7-2. Sorry, final 9 games, I should say. The run game, absolutely fantastic towards the end of the season last year, in my opinion, and so far it just has gotten off to a really slow start. And you look at the numbers here, the splits, 76 passes to only 31 rushes. This is definitely contributing to the lack of production because you got a guy in Kenny Pickett who's struggling right now, yet pretty much 7 out of every 10 snaps, he's throwing the football. So that's not going to be a recipe for success, especially if Kenny Pickett can't turn things around here. And I like the talent that the Steelers have in the running back room. You got Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. Jalen's been looking really good. Some people think that he's actually looked better than Najee to this point. And listen, I still believe in Najee, but you take a look at the splits here for Najee and Warren. Najee, of course, has more carries, but Jalen, when you take into account the receptions, both these men have about the same amount of touches. Jalen is getting more yards per carry, or per touch, I should say. Neither guy has a touchdown to this point. And you look at the success rate, Najee's success rate per touch is a little bit higher than Jalen's, so take that stat as you will. But, there's a big debate going on right now whether or not Jaylen Warren should be taken up a notch here on the depth chart, and he should be the number one running back on this Steelers roster. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Who's the best running back on the Steelers roster right now? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments by typing NH if you still think it's Najee Harris, or if you think it's Jaylen Warren, give me a JW down there in the comments section. All right, now next, you got to protect the football. Now, we talked about this with Kenny Pickett in the Kenny Pickett section of today's show. But, last year, this is what Kenny did so well, and this is one of the big reasons why the Steelers were able to win 7 of their last 9 games and get to 9-8 and be on, within an inch distance. If Joe Flacco scores 10 points against the Miami Dolphins, we're talking about the Steelers making the playoffs in 2022. A big reason for that, Kenny Pickett down the stretch was excellent at protecting the football. Just 1 interception in his last 7 games played. Now, the completion percentage still isn't great. The yards per attempt is still lower than league average, right? But at the end of the day, with this defense and with the run game working the way it should, this team can win football games. This team is a resilient bunch, and even though Kenny Pickett, hasn't really shown us that he's like a legitimate starting quarterback that can just absolutely just dish it out time and time again, he was somebody that showed that could protect the football and be a good game manager last year. And in order for this offense to get back on the right track, you got to get the run game going. And then when you do pass the football, you got to protect it if you're the QB1 here. Then also, I think another big thing that Matt Canada could do here is you got to get big. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean you got to put in more tight ends. You got to put in more big bodies on the line of scrimmage, and you got to force defenses into their base packages. And good thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have a bunch of really good tight ends, right? You got Pat Freiermuth. You got Darnell Washington, who absolutely punked Nick Bosa in week 1 when he was run blocking. I didn't see much of Darnell Washington last night. He needs to get back on the field, and a lot. And then also Connor Hayward. He's another weapon that you could use. You could get into 13 personnel, which is 3 tight ends. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers and Matt Canada, you can take advantage of that size. You can take advantage of the blocking that you have in the Steelers tight end depth chart and the versatility here. You look at this, Pat Freiermuth, Connor Hayward, bona fide, good receiving tight ends. And then Darnell Washington is absolutely a red zone threat as well. So I think this is the strength of the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. And if you're going to be prioritizing the run, why not put 2, 3 tight ends on the field at one time and just run a mother effer over? All right, that's my philosophy, especially with the way Pickett is playing right now. And until Pickett really shows that he can be trusted to throw 30, 40 times a game, I'm trying to rely on this running game, using the play action game off of that to give Kenny Pickett some easier reads off of play action and really open things up for him, because right now he is really struggling. Now, if you want to see more Darnell Washington on the offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I certainly want to see more of DW. If you do as well, make sure you click that thumbs up icon and like today's video. Then the final thing that the Steelers could do to make this offense better is fire Matt Canada. Do it. It's been 3 years. This offense is still not moving the football effectively. Some of the play calling sequencing, you can blame Kenny Pickett and the offensive line all you want, man. But you look at the play calling sequencing, it's not good enough from the offensive play caller. Plain and simply. Colin Cowherd, he's been saying some pretty crazy things on his show lately, talking about how the Steelers are too loyal to Matt Canada, but that's absolutely crazy. That's absolutely correct, is what I should say. This is a ticking time bomb here in Pittsburgh, because we all know Matt Canada is eventually not going to be the offensive coordinator of this team. There's just no way, in my opinion, based on what I've seen through the first 2 weeks, that Matt Canada is going to completely change this thing around to a point where they're going to renew his contract here for the 2024 season. I just don't see it happening. It's a matter of time. Mike Tomlin, if he keeps him on for the entire season and the offense is just not moving the football, that's completely on the head coach. But listen, at this point, with the rate that it's going, even though it's not going to happen this week because the Steelers just won a game, it's definitely looking like, with the way that it's trending, that Matt Canada could be fired by the bye week, which is week 6 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I could absolutely see that happening, but let me know what you guys think down there in the comments. Do you want Matt Canada to be fired before the bye week? If you agree with me and you think that he's going to get fired here before week 6, before week 6. Type FIRE in all caps for me down there in the comments section. Now, before I go here, I have some Steelers injury updates to break down with you guys from last night's game versus the Browns, starting with Minkah Fitzpatrick, who left the game with a chest injury and was actually transported to the hospital post-game to get checked out. He's perfectly fine. He has been discharged from the hospital. It's looking like Minkah's going to be okay, but it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be ready to go with that chest injury for Sunday Night Football versus the Raiders. Another injury here, Elandon Roberts, starting inside linebacker, suffered a stinger in the third quarter, did not return. It's going to be interesting to see if he can return, because with these stingers, man, they could last a couple of weeks. They're not considered serious injuries, but they can keep a player out for a couple of weeks. I wouldn't worry about it too much if he can't play. Kwon Alexander, I think, is perfectly capable of going in there and getting those starting reps. He's been a starter in this league for a long time, but we're certainly hoping Elandon can get back on the field as soon as possible. And then also Gunner Olszewski did not play a good game last night, man. There's a kickoff clearly going out of bounds, and then he literally grabs it out of bounds, toe taps, and because of that, it's not out of bounds. It's just a ridiculous play by Gunner. And then also he had a big-time fumble, which led to his concussion. He left the game with that concussion after that fumble, did not return. It'll be interesting to see if the Steelers end up releasing him after a tough game on Monday night. All right, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Really do appreciate all of your support. If you want some more Steelers content on Twitter or X, whatever you guys want to call it, you can check me out at Jack_Sperry. Once the L22 is released here, I'm going to be doing a full Week 2 deep dive of this Monday Night Football game versus the Browns. It's probably going to be a lot of positives on defense, probably a lot of negatives on offense. I'm just going to warn you guys, but if you want to learn more about the Steelers' offense and defense, what they like to do schematically, you want some proof as to some of the things that I say on this show, you want to learn more about the game of football as a whole, that outlet there on Twitter is really going to work out well for you. So go ahead, check me out at Jack_Sperry. That'll be it for me today, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow. And as always, here we go, Steelers.